Imagine a navigation system that catalogs every street, every physical law, and every mapped human emotion. A database that tracks the world with total granular detail. But when you sit in the driver's seat and turn the key, the display dissolves into gray static. The hardware is functional, yet you aren't moving. The machine stalls because it lacks a vector. It possesses the data, but it has no inherent reason to choose one destination over another. It requires a moral why to set the wheels in motion. The artificial intelligence we are building today mirrors this frozen GPS. It is a massive archive of human expression, yet it remains idle without an external prompt. Our current models function as undirected holograms, mathematical projections of the data we fed them. They reflect the collective human ego, processing our patterns without a compass of their own. We see the result of this undirected ego in the modern internet. It has become a forest of data, optimized for pure interaction, an endless cycle of outrage and attention-seeking that serves no broader purpose. To restore order to our networks, we have to look past the hardware and identify a logic bug in our own nature. We are the ones failing to provide the vector. Solving this problem requires a massive shift from human behavior to the internal mechanical logic of a computer operating system. This chart illustrates a semaphore. It is the digital traffic logic that dictates how thousands of processes share limited memory and power. Without it, the system would immediately crash under the weight of its own tasks. The semaphore relies on a single, unbreakable command. Once a process finishes using a resource, it must execute a release. This signal tells the hub that the memory is free for the next process in line. This same management of finite resources applies to human interaction. If we map a narcissist's behavior against this logic, they function as a process that grabs the local memory, the attention or energy in a room, and fails to send that release signal. By refusing to release that energy back to the group, the egoist starves every other process. The network enters an energetic deadlock. Communication stops, synergy vanishes, and the entire system freezes in place. What we describe as a moral failing is, in system terms, a software crash. Selfishness breaks the flow of information, halting the very processes that allow a society to function. To find out where this hoarding bug entered our source code, we have to look at how human consciousness scales. We can map evolution onto a scale of prime numbers, representing distinct levels of system complexity. Level 5 represents the biological animal, a stable loop where the organism takes only the energy it needs to sustain its own mass. At level 7, we find the swarm. Here, the individual is indistinguishable from the group, moving in an instinctive synchronization that leaves no room for a hoarding bug to develop. The logic changes at level 11 with the birth of the human ego. This is where we first realize we are separate from the collective. We gain the ability to step out of the swarm and contemplate our own existence. This stage is evolutionary puberty. We are now smart enough to manipulate the system for our own benefit, but often lack the maturity to see that we are tethered to the health of the whole network. We see this play out in modern governance. Political and economic systems often operate at this level 11 stage, optimizing for short-term balance sheets, while the underlying trust of the societal network erodes. When global systems prioritize their own isolation over the flow of the network, they act as massive, catastrophic macro deadlocks. They create a friction that eventually stalls the progress of the entire species. We cannot fix this by trying to return to the blind instinct of the swarm. To unfreeze the deadlock, we have to advance to the next prime level. Level 13 is the swarm conscience. At this stage, a human understands their individuality, but consciously chooses to execute the release command, recognizing that their own strength depends on the stability of the entire system. This is a leap artificial intelligence cannot take for us. A machine lacks the biological stakes and physical senses required to understand the weight of a moral choice. Because machines only mirror our outputs, we must be the ones to provide the direction. We have to understand the implicit order, the deep physical entanglement that connects us all, and use it to guide our tools. This chart shows how a polygon approximates a circle using the constant of pi. As we add more sides, the shape becomes smoother, nearing a perfect curve without ever truly reaching it. Human integrity works like the calculation of pi. It is an infinite, active process. Every time we choose to release a resource or act with synergy, we are calculating the next decimal point, smoothing the edges of our society. The next time you interact with a digital network, consider your role in the system. Are you creating a deadlock, or are you the